Good afternoon. I finally got enough parts to start assembling this 1948 WL. I've had the pieces, but I had to get a few things together. The wheels and tires have been mounted, balanced, and assembled. All the hubs are fresh. I've gone through and I've rebuilt the springer, which is on the floor in front of me here. So that's all ready to go. So today's the day where I'll be working on this bike to get it into a rolling state. Got it on the lift here. It's kind of a cattywampus setup. I know it's not ideal, but it's what I'm working with today. So first we'll start out by putting bearings in the bottom of the neck, and then we'll feed the springer up through the neck, and then we'll put the bearings in the top. We'll try to get this thing a little more stable, hopefully. I know it's going to add a lot of weight to the front and make it a little tippy. But in all honesty, I'll probably put the springer onto the wheel first and attempt to then fish it up through the frame. So follow along. We'll talk to you through the process and tell you what's going on with what I'm doing here. But today I'd like to have this thing rolling around the shop. I did end up taking the springer apart. One of the things I did notice was that I put this top cap on backwards. I had it facing the wrong direction. So it wasn't correct. I did look at the book again and saw that it wasn't right. So I did end up taking this completely apart and putting it on the correct way. Fish the axle out of here. Shift the frame just enough to get the axle in place on the front wheel here. Trying to balance all the parts to make sure that they stay in place. I know that I'm not doing it properly. Unfortunately, I'm working by myself and I don't have another way to do it. Got my brake right in the way here. Just shift it around just enough to be able to get this to rest. Perfect. I believe there's more wheel spacers that I need that I don't currently have for this, so I'll have to work on getting those. so the proper spacing or washers, or I'm not sure what goes between the actual hub assembly and the springer, the rockers. Got to find that in the book and look that up and see what I'm missing. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can see it in the back, but we've got a bucket of nuts, bolts, parts, and grease and grime and just all kinds of nastiness. When this bike came apart, the person that had it put everything into a 5-gallon bucket, all the nuts and bolts and everything, which is nice, but they're all in the bucket with no rhyme or reason. It's sat for I don't know how long, and unfortunately all the parts, they have grease and dirt and grime, and I can only imagine what animals got in there and lived in that mess as well. I mean, there's fur in there and just a lot of grossness. So unfortunately, I don't have everything out where I need it. I'll have to go through and figure out what I have and don't have, and then start ordering more parts. I kind of did a quick assessment when I got the bike to see what I did have and what I didn't have, and I have ordered things based on the things that I have and haven't seen. There isn't much that isn't here, honestly, so I'm thankful for that, but unfortunately I don't know what small pieces I am missing. I have cleaned out the neck cups, and from here I'm going to pack a bunch of grease in here and hope that I can get these bearings to stick. I know this is a delicate situation here, especially dealing with gravity and all that fun stuff. But the hope is I can pack enough grease inside this race here to hold the bearings in place long enough for me to be able to get the springer front end put up in place without losing any. We'll find out. I've got enough there for now, at least to start with. Got a brand new package of bearings for the neck here. Go ahead and open this up. Start fitting them into place. I'm going to bring this lift up just a little bit so I can see inside there. As I said, we're slowly packing the bearings in one at a time. Making sure I don't have a bunch of space between them, that they're in the right spots, and hopefully none of them will fall out. I do wish that I would have brought some straps or something today to tie the frame down. It'll keep it in place. Fortunately, I don't have them with me, so I'm working with what I've got. One casualty. Room for one more, I believe. All right, that's full. Now hopefully, if all goes well, we'll be able to lift this front end up enough to slide the springer up through the neck here and be able to keep the bearings in place, all while not dropping it. I think we'll lower the frame down just a little, or the table down just a little bit. Just got more working room here. I think I'm going to take this out. See if that gives me enough space to do this properly. All right, so far so good. Hopefully from here, we can get this underneath. Get this lifted up enough to be able to drop in place. Perfect. Perfect. It worked out better than I could have hoped. So I think before I start on the top clamp there, the top bearing race, I'm going to put the rear wheel on just to hopefully give me a little bit more stability on the bike. We'll try that and see how that goes. And again, with this rear wheel, I know I'm not working with the proper spacers. So with that said, I'm just gonna mock this up for now. I don't have the right rear wheel spacer. This will have to come apart again anyway, just because the rear drum itself is not in good shape. But it's good enough to get me by for now. Okay, like I was saying, I don't have all the correct parts, unfortunately, so what I'm using right now is not really the right things. I'm spacing this wheel, the spacers that I have laying around. I just want the wheel to be snugged up enough to stay in place so I can actually roll this frame. Some of this is just trying parts and see what happens. What the fuck is going on now? There's no fucking video. I can't quit on me again, so now I'm back. And I'm looking at things. One of the things I wasn't thinking about was the fact that I work on a lot of big twin bikes. So the final drive is always on the left-hand side. I'm looking at this bike, I'm like, wait, that's not right. I've got this on the wrong side. So I have to reverse the wheel. I do have it on incorrectly. I have it on backwards. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably caught that and are thinking, what the heck is this guy doing? So we'll reverse this now. Put it on properly. And again, I know this is going to be loose fit together because I know everything's not perfect the way it should be, but right now I've got it on enough where I think the wheels will stay. I mean, I know this wobbles a little bit. I should be able to roll around the shop. And that's the goal at this point, to be able to roll this thing around. Okay, we're going to repeat the process here. I'm going to pack the top neck cup full of grease, and I'm going to slide the bearings into this. Thankfully, we're not fighting gravity this time. I know the bike's nowhere near completion, but seeing it on its own wheels right now is very exciting to me. I love being able to, envision what this bike will end up being like. As for this project goes, this will be my first start to finish project that I'll be mostly doing myself. Changed a lot of parts on different bikes, and I've done some light assembly on more modern things, but as far as antique bikes goes, this is the most involved build I'll ever be attempting at this point. I've always wanted one of these. I think a lot of people do. They're pretty neat machines. I've got quite a bit of work on different parts of this bike as well. I do have 2 transmissions that came with it, one of which looks nicer than the other. They both have been sitting for a while, and I believe they both would need rebuild. Along with that, the motor, I know the motor needs to be completely gone through. A lot of rod play in the connecting rods. So I know the bearings are not in good shape for sure. As far as how the rods actually look, I don't know. It's something else I will be looking at. Right now I'm checking to see if all the bearings are in place where they should be, and we don't have too many or too few. So far everything is looking good. So from there we'll slide on this top piece, push everything into place. It looks like everything's good. Probably enough grease on here, but I'm still going to spray this with a little bit of lube. As for what's next, I believe I will be working on the motor, at least getting it completely apart the rest of the way, and then having someone take a look at it for me to make sure the parts I'm using or wanting to use are good enough to be used. Just want a little extra expertise just to look at it, just to see what's what. You know, some of the parts are new with it, like the cams are new, the replacement cams. The cases have been cleaned. The cylinders are not new. I know that they'll require a light hone, probably some oversized piston rings, depending on how far it goes. I know the pistons are currently 50 thousandths, so they may end up having to be bumped up to 60. I'm not sure. Cylinder walls don't look terrible in my opinion, but I'm not an expert on that. Measure out pretty well. I think they could be just rehoned. Put a little crosshatch in them and I think they'll run. I've got a friend's shop in Grand Rapids that I'll take that to and have him give me some insight on it, see if it's good enough. Those old dirty threads are going to fight me the entire way, it looks like. Once I get this into a rolling state next week, I'm going to put the FXR back up on the lift. Got an idea for that one. Had it listed for a while now for sale and not getting any bites on it, so stay tuned. We'll see what happens to it next. Nearing the end. I know one of the big things I need to do, well not big, but one of the things I need to do for this bike is buy a wiring harness. I'd like to buy a aftermarket original looking wiring harness for this. Unfortunately, the wiring that came with the bike is something somebody made in their garage, and there's lots of splices, and shielding is peeled back in a few spots, and none of it's worth anything. It's not original by any means. It's definitely all someone's handiwork. I know I want to replace that with something that looks original. Another thing I've been looking at is a 4-speed gearbox for this. I've seen guys doing them online and they seem to be getting pretty good results out of them. I seem to be happy with them, I guess I should say. So I think I'm going to attempt that too. Not 100% sold on that yet. Something I've been doing a little research on and thinking about. I'll have to get a wrench on that in a little while. from here, I'm going to put the floorboard mounts on, the brake crossover tube on, the jiffy stand on real quick, just to have those pieces on, so that way when I do roll it around the shop, I'll be able to stand it on its stand, and I won't have to throw it back on the table, which would be great. One of the things I really do need is a better manual. Some of the things I'm running into, like the brake crossover and whatnot, I'm not finding the right information on. I don't believe I am. I'm not finding complete information. That's, I guess, a better way to put it. So I'm positive this goes in through here like this, and I believe it hangs out that far. I don't really know. I feel like that's maybe incorrect. I'm not really sure. I know it's something that I need to figure out. It's something I need to take time with and work on. I'd like to find, like I said, a better manual, a better repair manual that shows in detail how some of these things are, better exploded views. I do have the engine overhaul manual, which has been nice. That's given me some good resources. And I do have the maintenance guide, the older one. It's a reprint, and that's okay. It's got some good resources in it too, some good reference material. The unfortunate part with that is it's a reprint, so some of the printed pages didn't come out so good. Unfortunately, that means that you can't read all of the verbiage, so that's not super helpful. So got that in place. I think this goes in this way here. Fits all the way through. And then the jiffy stand should go onto that. The nut actually goes on first. Again, these are the reference points I don't have, unfortunately. I'm not seeing them in either of my manuals. So that goes like that. And some of these parts, I'm not sure if they're even correct for this bike. I know with this strap here, I've got, I think 6 or 8 of them, and they're all different sizes. I know the later model pan heads and shovel heads and whatnot had the mousetrap set up on them, and I feel like they're for those, but I'm not really sure. I haven't measured them with an actual mousetrap to see if that is correct. It could be, I could be wrong too. It could be something else. But there's, like I said, I think 6 of those in the bucket there. This was the smallest one. This was the only one that actually fit the jiffy stand. Like I said, I just wanted to get this usable here today so I could actually kick the stand down and the bike would then sit on its stand. I don't think that I want to put the controls on yet, the foot controls on yet. I feel like they'll be in the way of the engine when I go to put that in. I'm not really sure though. I feel like it could be. So I'm not going to put those on just yet. The nice part is having these parts hung on here now. I can clean up the threads on things. I can find the proper hardware that goes with them, because like I said, I've got a giant bucket of things in the back here, and that should allow me the opportunity to be able to go through that and figure out what is what. I'll be surprised if I don't have all the hardware for this bike, since that bucket is, I don't know, a quarter of the way full. A lot in there. Alright. Starting to take shape here. It's definitely one of those iconic photos you see of a guy's garage and a bike sitting on a lift, and it's a rolling chassis. For me, this is, you know, a big win. This is something I've been looking forward to, a day I've wanted to get to for a little while now, and I haven't had the chance. So I made time today. I had a little bit of extra free time to take advantage of, so I did, and now we're here. From this point, I know I'm kind of ahead of the game here, but I'm going to put the handlebars and the tanks on it just to give it a look, just to see it, because you know I want to see what it looks like with those items on. I think it'll be neat to see. So I'm going to bring the bike down a little bit here. We'll see in a second. I know that the handlebars are a little bit bent, and that's to be expected. I know that's pretty common for bikes of that age. I'm not sure if I'm going to straighten them out, or if I can straighten them out. I may not be able to, and I may not want to. I'm not sure. They're not that bad. Actually don't look that bad. I know I do need to replace the cables in this. I know that they're pretty rough. I may need to sand the tops of that just to be able to get these bars in place. But we're going to lube them up and see if that helps at all. It may. With spraying lubricant, it helps to make a giant mess. That's one thing I have noticed. It is helpful to make a huge mess and get it everywhere. Or at least that's how I like to look at it. I think what I'm going to do now is stick a rag on the top and get the hammer out and hammer them down the rest of the way. Alright, I'm going to take my rag and I'm going to fold it up on the top here just to get a little cushion. I need to invest in some rubber hammers. Unfortunately, I don't have any yet. I just have my 32 ounce Milwaukee ball peen here. Which worked out fantastic. This top clamp is a little bit bent, not top clamp, garnish I guess. Not sure what you call it. Just a little cattywampus. Try to lube the hole up here, see which one will actually fit in. Well, without the proper tools, I'm not able to get this in the right way. I'm going to have to go through and sand this down, probably open those holes up a little bit, and then put this in place, or cut that off completely and then just let the nut hold it in place. I'm not sure which the right answer is. But what I'm going to do for today is I'm just going to put this on upside down. So that way the bars are in place for now. I have to say, the more I do, the better I like the project. Definitely loving the look and how it's coming together. Let's say we hang these tanks on here and see how this goes. Got some baling wire that I've been using to temporarily hold these tanks in place so I didn't lose them and fall off the bike when I had it sitting over on the other side of the room. I will bail them back together again, since that worked out so well the first time. Again, it's temporary, but it just gives me a good look. I mean, I can see it in my head, but it's just neat to see it actually on its own two wheels and sitting there. And, you know, it's just one step closer to the project being complete. I'm on the hunt for a solo seat. I do not want to run the two-up seat. Don't like that look. I know that's what came with the bike, but that will get hung in, you know, the rafter somewhere or get put away for the time being. So I am looking for that. Again, like I said, I need to buy a wiring harness for this, so that'll have to happen. The tanks will have to be cleaned out on the inside. They're not terrible, but they need to be gone through. And from there, you know, it's just small things. I need to, you know, work on that motor next and get that built. So stay tuned for that video of maybe assembly. Maybe my buddy does it for me. I'm not really sure yet. I do have a good idea on how it works. I have watched a few videos. I have read a lot about it, and I mean, I know how motors work, so I have an understanding of all of that. I've never put one together myself, and I'm just a little nervous about it. But I do think that if it comes together, I'll take the leap of faith and I'll build it myself. But stay tuned. You know, see what happens next. this is where I wanted to end up today, so thank you for following along. Of course, continue to follow the progress. I'll show different things as they come, and different parts as I get them. I'll swap them out and show those off to you guys so you can see what I'm working with and working on. As always, if you like these videos, please feel free to subscribe. Share with your friends. If you've got friends that are into old bikes or new bikes or anything, feel free to share with them. If you like the video too, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. I appreciate that. And any comments and feedback that you guys have is always welcome. I appreciate you guys in the comment section talking about the tool I used on the last job of putting the springer together. It was a sketch tool. I was definitely apprehensive to use it. And it's one of those things that I'd never done it before, and there was no good information out there showing how it actually worked, and I was nervous using it. At any given time, that thing could have let loose, and that's a ton of pressure right there. I could have gotten severely injured. Thankfully, that did not happen, and I'm grateful for that. But feel free to continue to comment, to ask questions, or give feedback. I appreciate all that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.